Greetings. Thank you so much to all our viewers who are joining us live right here. This is the Zimbabwe Online Content Creators, where we are continuing with our show, Journalism is Not a Crime, a show where we continuously speak out against harassment, victimization of journalists and journalism as a large. Today we are zooming into a very special topic where we are looking into a fellow journalist, Hopewell Chino'nos, who has been arrested as well, and today marks 14 days since he's been incarcerated after having some 45 days if my dates are still okay. And today we are so much excited as usual to have our special guest, Yvonne Muchaka. Yvonne.
Oh my God. My husband will kill you.
I've just changed your husband.
Yeah,
I've just switched the husbands.
No, please don't change.
Okay.
My husband is good as he is. Hello, everybody.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Thank you for joining us. We are so much excited. It's always a pleasure to have you and to always share these nuggets, specifically when you speak about the serenity and the sanity of journalism as a sector.
I mean, all the time things were a bit on the cooler side, calmer side, because we were getting arrested from on the front, like when we go out to cover an event and something was happening, and there was just that sort of harassment that would take place. You know, some police who are ignorant of our duties as journalists, you know, so they would just come in, swoop in on journalists, arrest some of our colleagues, you know, beat up the others, especially when we attend demonstrations and stuff like that. So those have been some of the challenges that journalists have faced. But in light of the issue that you're talking about right now, the issue of Hopewell Chino'nos, I think this now moves in an extra step in actually victimizing, you know, the profession, victimizing the person who is conducting their work as a journalist. And I think that is really a disservice to the people of Zimbabwe, because the nation wants to be informed, the nation wants to be educated, the nation wants to be entertained. And this is the role of journalists. This is the role that we actually play on a daily basis. So the struggle that Hopewell Chino'nos is undergoing right now is actually a direct assault on the profession, you know, as a whole. So it's actually a very sad moment, because today we were expecting that Hopewell would go into court and get a bail, you know, judgment. But again, the High Court judge said that he wanted time to go through the whatever they call them, you know,
the submissions, the papers that is got. And this is a case that we strongly feel that probably maybe the judge could have been much more appraised on the circumstances and the situation. We fully understand that the judge has been on this matter for the magistrate up until he was denied bail from the magistrate. Now they're making an appeal at the High Court, and the judge at the High Court is now saying that he needs a bit of time to consider and look into this paperwork. But you know, in most cases, this looks like a very much clear-cut case into a matter of whether, because he's not looking into the merits, he's not supposed to be judging or making a. I know this is a matter before the court is subject to care. I know, but this is an issue of bail that we're talking about. Merits of whether or not Hopewell is a candidate for bail. This is exactly what he's supposed to be doing. But today is a Wednesday. He says he's going to adjourn up until Friday. If I'm not mistaken. So he's saying he needs more time to look into this case up until Friday, so that he makes a decision to see whether or not a journalist is worth a bail. A journalist who is already out on bail and he has not even violated a single bail condition, and now that a higher court judge has been given this he has made reservations, letting Zimbabweans and the world rather know that he needs more time to consider.
So it's like a pre-trial detention. I mean, who does that? How do you get punished for a crime that you've not been convicted with? I mean, the magistrate actually denying bail to Hopewell, saying that he has a propensity to commit a crime, and you are asking what crime, because he's not been convicted yet by the courts. So the whole situation is a very that's why we are saying that it's journalism that is on trial rather than Hopewell Chino'nos on trial. It's the whole fraternity that is on trial, because you're then questioning us as media personalities to say, why are you talking about these things? They are there. That's why we have sources. That's why we investigate on issues, so that we keep the nation informed, we keep the nation right on the tip of the issues that are happening. It's not like, you know, we're just coming out and taking a shower, leaving our home, so that we just come and, you know, repeat everything else that has been said, we go deeper. That's why we say, why is this happening in our society? And here we're saying that Hopewell is arrested because he makes a tweet around the arrest and granting of bail for Henrietta Shua.
And he's saying he's got sources that have told him that Henrietta Shua is not going to get any opposition as far as her bail is concerned. And I was in the court, in the magistrate court earlier on, where the prosecutor did or requested a very, I'm sorry to use this word, a very stupid request to ask a journalist to divulge how he knew and how he knows
his sources. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
The Constitution protects us as journalists to hide and protect our sources. And a whole prosecutor cannot just come before the court of law and say, okay, so now tell us, who is your source? He's a journalist. He's practicing journalism. And you can't demand in any normal court of law to say, so how did you know that?
It's unethical.
It's unethical.
It's actually unethical to reveal your sources. Because
that's unethical. It's also illegal because it's a breach of the law. The law says a journalist cannot divulge his source. And the whole prosecutor asked Hopewell to say, so who was your source? Divulge your source so that we know where you could be getting that from. So, so I honestly think that it was very improper, unethical, and more importantly, also illegal for any law enforcement or a prosecutor to say, someone who's supposed to be well knowledgeable with the law to then demand to say that we need to know who is your source that has told you that Henrietta Shua is not going to be getting any opposition in bail.
And it's actually quite encouraging that we've got able lawyers standing in for Hopewell, because then they're really able to be assertive with his points, and you can't reveal your sources. That is journalism 101. When you go to journalism school, you're told don't reveal your sources. So when the Supreme Court of Law, when the magistrates court, when the high court, when whoever in the law fraternity asks you to reveal your sources, it just doesn't make any sense, because we are saying the reason we're able to give the nation information that can sometimes be classified as classified information is because we have sources in important spaces, because these are spaces that really matter. The National Prosecuting Authority, for example, ensures that our laws are protected, our laws are followed. The people who are breaking the law, they are, they receive the kind of justice that comes along with what they are doing. So it really becomes a serious issue when a whole prosecution bench begins to ask a journalist who your sources are, because it just doesn't happen. So when we look at Hopewell's issue, it's really something that is really frustrating, especially for some of us in the fraternity, because we want to be able to do our duties, we want to be able to do our work without looking over our shoulders. If there is something that is prejudicial to the nation, it has to be exposed. And the thing that we would expect is that the prosecuting authority would look into the matter, the anti-corruption unit would look into that and begin to investigate around those issues, so as to, we have to be scientific about some of these things. If the law has to be, if someone has to be arrested, investigations must be done. And after those investigations, they must be able to ascertain whether this information was true. Because we are whistleblowers at times as journalists. That's what we do. We begin
more
to flag.
importantly, we are called the fourth estate because of the role that we play as media. Media is the fourth estate after the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, right? So we hold power to account. That's what we do.
That's our responsibility.
Each and every single day. We shouldn't even think it was anything else that we are doing. It's PR work. Holding holding officials, holding public entities to account is our constitutionally enshrined obligation, and no journalist at all should think twice about upholding this duty. If we are not doing this in the first place, you're doing PR. That is the thesis and the base of journalism, because we are also doing this for every single community member in Zimbabwe. That's what we do.
It's not like we're trying to just build a name around ourselves, but we're also trying to highlight on the issues that are important to society. I think right now we should take a short break, and when we come back, we want to go into the merits of the case that is before the courts right now, and let's just have this conversation together.
And thank you so much to all of you who are joining us live right here. This is Journalism of the Crime, a program brought to you by the Zimbabwe online content creators, where we continuously look into various issues and problems and challenges that we are facing as journalists practicing journalism. Specifically today, we are reacting to Justice Chitapi, who has said that he wanted or he needs more time to look into the bail application for Hopewell Chino'nos, a renowned and well-known journalist who is today appealing for his freedom through the High Court. He's been denied bail from the magistrate. Now he's fighting for his liberty through the High Court, but the justice has said that he needs more time to look into his presentation. So this is what we're talking about today, and we are into the second segment where my sister here, Yvonne, has been speaking about now the merits of the case. Of course, we are not trying to be sub judice or sub judice, so to say, or preempt the judicial process. But what we are simply saying is we are looking at the prima facie of this case, as it is to say, well, this is a non-journalist who's been on bail, and we are taking more than 14 working days to just discuss and agree whether or not he's a candidate of bail. That's why he's at the High Court.
The interesting thing is, Hopewell got arrested on the 3rd of November. Yeah. And the reason why he was arrested is because he is facing charges of defeating or obstructing justice, right? Obstructing the course of justice. Mm-hmm. So he, apparently authorities are alleging that Chino'nos created communication lines with unnamed people within the National Prosecuting Authority, right? And these people gave him access to confidential prosecutional deliberations, which he allegedly published on social media, including Twitter, on 25 October. So the confidential information purported to show that Henrietta Rushwaya, who is she's the suspended president of the Zimbabwe Minerals Confederation of Zimbabwe.
Amongst the many heads and the balls that she wears and heads, and that she has been continuously wearing and heading. Sorry for the interruption.
It's all right. So she was arrested at the Robert Mugabe International Airport for trying to smuggle gold, about 6 kgs of gold, out of the country. And the confidential information was to the extent that she was going to be granted bail without any opposition from the NPA. So prosecutors now claimed that Chino'nos had jeopardized the integrity of cases against himself. Remember, he still had a pending case. He still has a pending case for which he spent 45 days incarceration. So these are the charges that are being leveled against Hopewell Chino'nos. And so what we're saying is that this on its own is really preposterous, because how does he jeopardize the case that he's standing in for? Because that one is for allegedly inciting public violence through his Twitter account again, and this time around he's saying he will be jeopardizing his case for tweeting that Henrietta Rushwaya will be granted bail without opposition. Yeah.
Still onto that issue and the merits of that issue, Yvonne, it is indisputable that surely come the court day, the National Prosecution Authority did not oppose bail. Yeah. You see, so if we're doing a whole court for someone who said exactly what has happened, what are we worried about? Because the facts have been laid bare to say, surely, because the magistrate had to say, well, but why are you not opposing bail on such a candidate? And someone is being arrested for saying this will happen.
This is what's happening. Shouldn't they arrest the prosecutors
for not opposing bail? You see, how does a prosecutor oppose bail for someone who's just made a tweet, and the whole prosecution bench does not see a problem with opposing bail for someone who's been smuggling 6 gold away from the country,
320,000. I mean, what could that do?
Which affects every single Zimbabwean. So this is an issue of national priority and national importance, right? So in whose interest are they serving? Because if Hopewell is being charged for exposing such, it's obviously this is a crime, this is corruption, and this is unethical. Why do we have forces that are ready to stop him for exposing such unethical dealings? Why do we have so much energy towards that? And no one is excited or interested in even opposing bail for someone who's smuggling gold.
I mean, just look at it. Just look at it. Chino'nos would appear in court in leg irons and in handcuffs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And Henrietta waltz
Yes.
into
she
court
literally walks through
for taking $320,000 worth
As
of
someone
gold
who's
away
just
from.
made a tweet
Yeah.
is coming into court with leg irons and
His
handcuffed.
his tweet doesn't affect the food, the quality of food I eat in my
But
house.
the powers
Yeah.
that be, they find it necessary and very important to say, well, Henrietta can just walk in
Yeah.
from wherever she's coming through, no one opposes bill, so that she goes back home the next day. That's the whole essence. So they don't see any sense of opposing Bell as a state that is responsible and caring about national treasures.
Yeah.
She can walk in, get no bail opposed, get back home, continue with their life. But a guy who tweets against corruption
Yeah.
should be arrested 45 days the first time, now 14 days. And he's a journalist, and no one makes no noise about
No one
this.
is, yeah.
It's
It's
unfounded.
but my question probably that just comes right at the top of my mind is why?
Yeah.
What is it that they're trying to protect? Whose interest are they
My
being-
question would be more than the why, is the who. Who are they really serving?
Okay.
Yeah, in whose
Yeah.
interest are they really serving?
Yeah.
Because if this was a case of national interest, surely in Richard Ushuaia should be much more criminalized than a guy who just made the tweet about what will happen.
Actually, if it was really an issue of national interest, if we are interested in solving the problems that we are facing as a country, issues to do with our economy, issues
Yeah.
to do with plugging the holes, then this should be an issue of national priority. To say,
Definitely.
it should set a precedence with the Henrietta to then say, this that you have done, we want to deter
Yeah.
any more would-be smugglers of
Yes,
gold.
yes,
I
definitely.
mean, if she was really, I mean, she said that she carried the wrong bag to the airport. I'm sure she's got
But on that
a
part,
wardrobe of similar bags, but she picked the wrong bag to the airport, only to realize it as she was going through
she
security.
picked the wrong bag from
that-
home, or she picked the wrong bag at the airport
From home.
From home.
She picked the wrong bag from home. She had a bag
of
of
6
gold.
kgs.
Yeah, she had a bag of gold, which
Uh-huh.
was the similar bag.
So she had
it looked
identical bags.
Yes,
And they were
With-
almost the same.
exactly.
And she went to the airport
yes,
with
and
an
only
identical
at
bag
the
and
at
it's
the
with an identical
security-
weight.
At the security check up,
Uh-huh.
that's when she realized that no, I carried the bag of gold.
But how
and
did she
not of
pass?
clothes.
How did she pass? Because 6 kgs, you have to
She's-
pass through security
She's
clearance.
Henrietta.
Yeah.
She wears many caps.
Uh-huh.
You know, we are
Okay.
told that even the cameras, at
CCTVs,
were
also
switched
forgot
off.
to record him.
Yes.
No,
somehow.
they were not switched off. They forgot to also
To
record.
oh yeah, they
Yeah,
were. I think the guys had gone on a break or something.
Yeah.
So apparently during the search, that's when they discovered, oh no, we've got the wrong bag,
Uh-huh.
and then name dropping.
And she was already
name
at the other
dropping
side.
began to take place, but maybe she then remembered when.
Shouldn't
she was,
this be the case that we should be talking about? Not a journalist who has made a tweet. You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
right now we are talking about Hopewell Chino'nos because he tweeted something that he picked up from his sources to then say the state is not going to oppose bail in this case.
Exactly.
So that for me becomes a problem because we want to build our nation. I think every journalist, the desire is for us to communicate for development.
Would I be
we
wrong
want
that
to build our nation.
Yeah.
But if we are then getting arrested or when we get tagged for doing that, it raises the question: why is this happening? Is Chino'nos not being used as an example? Are we not getting an example being set on our behalf?
Let's have that conversation in the third segment on what it means to us as various journalists and professionals practicing journalism each and every single day, so that we just look into that. But we are worried about now. This is the now present. Today is the Wednesday. Someone is going back to the cells
For tweeting.
for tweeting. That's the issue. And
Yeah.
for tweeting that, someone will walk away back home without any charges. And no one has got a problem with that. And the whole NPA, forget this source, because this source surely was right.
Yep.
It's now a matter of fact.
Yep.
Because we went through and the magistrate asked and inquired why there is no opposition.
If the magistrate had not stepped her
Feet down, that means Henrietta will be free right now.
Yeah.
Because when the state does not oppose bail, then who is she as well to then oppose the bail? Because the state represents, the NPAs, the prosecutors represent the state.
Yeah.
And
the
she's
state
just
is
there to
okay.
make it.
With 320,000.
They are okay
worth
with
of
her going
what?
back home.
Walking out the
But
airport.
they've got all the reasons why Hopewell shouldn't go back home, because he tweeted.
He's a threat. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll go even deeper with this issue. Hello and welcome once again to Journalism is Not a Crime, a program brought to you by the Zimbabwe Online Content Creators. We are deliberating on the denial, or rather adjournment or postponement of the bail hearing for journalist Hopewell Chino'nos. Tonio, we were talking about the merits of the issue. Now we want to talk about the way forward.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this?
Yeah.
We've just come. We are hoping. I think the best we can hope for is sanity and reason will come back to our bench, and they'll grant Hopewell bail on Friday, as they've advised that that's when the case comes back into court.
Definitely.
So
I think for me, yes, we wish he is granted bail as soon as possible. But I think more importantly, and on a bigger perspective, it's very unfair and unbecoming for him to be in that predicament in the first place. He did not even deserve to be looking for bail after tweeting what has already happened and what has already proven to be true. You know what I'm saying? Any judge, I would think, that would have probably just thrown away that case at all. Because there's no criminality.
Is it even a case? I mean,
yes, in the first place.
Yeah.
To say that Chinese will not get bail opposed, and the judge and yet seen justice are moving, passing through the course.
I mean, if the bail was opposed. If the bail was opposed, even if the bail was opposed, there was no criminality to that.
Exactly.
I mean, how many people have said that so and so is going to win an election? They've been arrested for doing that.
How is that criminal?
How is it criminal? I think
because they're saying it's the charge is it's better obstruction of justice.
The course of justice.
Course of justice.
I have no idea
how is that obstruction of the course of justice when someone has got a source that tells him that this is how things are going to happen, and surely things happen in that way. That is called whistleblowing. It's not obstruction of the course of justice. Yeah. It's actually they should actually been working much more closely to him to understand who exactly got him to make sure that they won't oppose, because it's not about the source, it's about the force.
Yeah.
The source has confirmed that there is a force that makes a decision whether or not to oppose.
Are you introducing another third force?
Hopefully not. But I'm just saying that obviously someone has got interest, or someone had interest to make sure that bail in this case is not opposed, but bail in this case is opposed.
Yeah.
The question is, who is that force? Who is that person who makes that decision? That's what we should be talking about. Number two, for us, we are so disappointed as journalists because they are trying to set a very wrong precedent that we cannot take. If that's a precedent that says that if a journalist wakes up tomorrow and tells us exactly what's going to happen, and somehow wake up in a job, it actually happens.
How does that constitute a criminal offense to do that?
Exactly.
Because I think, like you have said, we are the fourth estate. We hold people to account. We hold power to account. That is why we are there.
Yes.
Otherwise, if there was no need for that, we wouldn't have this profession in the first place. But it's there because it's important. It's a very important facet of society. We need to keep the nation informed. We need to keep people informed. So how do we keep people informed if we are not informed ourselves? We have to get information somewhere so that we can release it to the rest of the people. This is what is happening. This is what is about to happen. We're not supposed to be just reporting this one, so and so said this, so and so said that. We're supposed to go deeper with the issues.
In journalism, we speak about the 5 W's: the who, the why, the way, the when, and the what. So we can't be reporting just on the what. So what is just done is the why and the who's. So this is a very critical component of journalism. What he was basically doing there was pure journalism, but of greater importance is we cannot set a precedence that says if a journalist wakes up tomorrow and writes or investigates such a story, that should be or could be criminalized. That honestly should never be said as a precedent. it's cowing journalism and journalists into a certain narratives. And we as journalists, specifically as the Zimbabwe online content creators, we stand with our fellow journalists, Hopewell Chino'nos, and we say we cannot be cowed down, and we do not even feel threatened about what has happened. And more importantly, I think it's a shame whoever is doing this, in all honesty, is an enemy of the state, because the government, specifically the Second Republic, has been saying that they're opening up the media, they're opening up space, they're opening up freedoms for various Zimbabweans. And whoever is driving this is actually an enemy of the Second Republic, because it does not put the government in any good spot. Fighting journalists and journalism to that extent, which is a very embarrassing level. To me, it shows that there are the third force. Now I'm introducing the third force, which are actually against the freedom and the independence of journalists and journalism, because this is an assault on journalism. And we don't feel threatened at all, but we are actually disappointed, to say the least. I would have used a much more furious word, because we are not cowed down by such a baseless allegations that criminalizes what we do. If journalism is a crime, then I think we should just shut down our newsrooms. They should just come and take us all up. For some of us, we are ready to be taken up, so long as we are doing what we should be doing as journalists. If we are journalists and we are seeing things that are wrong and we are exposing these things, we need then the other arms of the state to then investigate, because we've already done our part.
I think we actually put the spotlight on Zimbabwe for all the wrong reasons.
All the wrong
we're
reasons.
We're trying to clean up our image. You're trying to show that we're not just a nation that is. So
you agree there's a third force, right?
I don't know.
Put Zimbabwe on the limelight for all the wrong reasons.
Actually, it's sad.
Yeah, very much.
Because we are being asked to clean up the image of our nation. We're being asked to report nicely, the nice things. Yeah. But what are those nice things? You see, if gold can be smuggled just like that, I mean, even the state papers actually confirmed that about $100 million is lost every month through our borders. That puts paid what has just happened. And the fact that Henrietta Rushwa has been caught does not actually shows that there are more issues. There are more people who do that. There are more people. There is definitely something that is worth investigating there. Because if our own authorities can say that $100 million is lost, it means more security measures needs to be put at our borders.
We should be hitting a panic button. We need to see every arms of the state there doing something about that.
Exactly.
Say, okay, so if you can smuggle $6, hold on a second. How much more do you? 6 kgs. How much more do you have?
Yeah.
How much more could have been smuggled?
Yeah.
Let's try and track around. Because how many more times has she been traveling?
The whole idea that there's paperwork and stuff like that, I mean, it just doesn't hold water. Look, we don't want to go into the merits of the that is the business for the court and stuff like that. But if such an amount, if someone can make such an excuse, it just leaves a lot to be desired. And we're just talking of 320,000. We lose 100 million every month. That should put every system in place to say, we want to know what is happening at our borders. We want to know what packages are going in, what packages are coming out. There was a lot of name dropping that took place, during that process, before we've come to sift ourselves to the final languages that we then use in court. But that also needs to, it raises some very, very negative flags, for our own people who are doing this business. But coming back to Hopewell Chino'nos, this is bad. All that is happening with Hopewell is really bad for our country, because it puts us onto the map for the wrong reasons.
All the wrong reasons.
Muleya Mwananyanda of the Amnesty International, he's the Deputy Director for Southern Africa, he had this to say: Hopewell Chino'nos' continued pretrial detention is a violation of his human rights. He should never have spent a single night in Chikurubi Maximum Security Prison, as he is being detained solely for his journalistic work. His continued detention is the latest tactic. Listen to this. Is the latest tactic to target and harass critical voices through the misuse of the criminal justice system. Now, this already is not good for our country. It's not good for the criminal justice system of our country. And these are the institutions that are supposed to be operational. These are the institutions that are supposed to be standing strong in order to make sure that our country is a democracy that we claim that it is, that our country is functioning at the levels that we want, that our country is out there for actually the right reasons. But now we are there For the wrong reasons.
For all the
How
wrong
do you
reasons.
address somebody for doing his work? It's like walking into a nurse and saying you are arrested because
You're giving someone some
you given,
paracetamol.
yeah. How
You can't criminalize a profession.
How do you
He is doing what he should be
Yes.
doing, no matter how many people are affected by that. Speaking of solidarity, let me just pick something quickly as well. The African Commission on Human and People's Rights, ACHPR, Special Rapporteur on Freedom of African Expression and Access to Information in Africa, Commissioner Jamsina King has written to the President Emerson Mnangagwa regarding the arrest and the detention of journalist Hopewell Chino'nos. Speaking at the recently held 67th ordinary session of the ACHPR held virtually, Commissioner King said she wrote to the letter to President Emerson Mnangagwa on 15 October 2020, speaking against the arrest, speaking against the continuous harassment and victimization of journalists. These are huge African blocs coming together and saying, no, Zimbabwe, that is wrong. You can't be doing that. Surely all these various bodies cannot be all wrong and we can be right. Us as well as Zimbabwe,
we're
this can't be allowed.
saying take off the sanctions.
Yeah.
We're saying we want Zimbabwe to work again. We are saying we are a reformed people. We are building our nation. But all of this now is the reality of what people are seeing and the information that people are getting out there. If you have a renowned journalist like Hopewell Chino'nos, who has won international awards for covering issues of national development, issues of importance in our nation and also globally, and you have that person highlighting on the issues that needs to be fixed in our country, and you arrest them, you are likely arousing the eyebrows of everybody who follows
Every other
him.
local, regional, international.
And that is bad.
Yeah.
And that is bad. And you know, the feeling and the impression that is put out there is that the arrest of Hopewell Chino'nos is like trying to teach, you know, other people like myself who are
Setting
literally
a precedence.
unknown. You know, we're not that known like Hopewell, right? So we are being told you have to muzzle your mouth, keep quiet.
If we can do this to
don't
Hopewell,
if we can
do
this,
worse on you.
What about you?
Yes,
you see?
exactly the
so,
point. Yeah.
So that becomes a very, very bad, precedence.
Yeah.
We are saying we want to build a nation that respects people's fundamental rights. We want to build a nation that respects the work of journalists, right? But why are we then stifling that same voice that is speaking to the things that are happening? We are trying to hold to account the things that are happening in our country, and then we are muzzled. What is it that is being, to what end are we trying to push this Hopewell Chino'nos issue? So that is why you'd realize that a lot of people would say this assault is not an assault on Hopewell, it is an assault on the journalism fraternity.
And we are saying that precedence should never be allowed to be set. We cannot allow such a precedence to be set on any journalist. And it would be a very regrettable day to wake up one day having journalists say, you know what, I'm very cautious, I'm skeptical, I'm worried about writing or producing such an article whereby someone sees obvious corruption or any ill happening in our society. For a journalist to think twice or three times, if I am to come out and speak out against this, I may be arrested, I could be a victim as well, or they could be taking me the next day. I think that's a very strong precedent that could be set. And once such a thing happens, we are creating a precedent that says you are not going to come out there and be a loudmouth or investigate to a certain level that's going to ruffle feathers. For us, if I said Yvonne in the first part of the show, that everything else is PR. This is what we call journalism. If this is what we are calling journalism and this is criminalized, then journalism is on essence, the essence of it, they've just been destroyed, and we cannot allow that to happen. This is what we are here for. We are defending that as a standard to say what Hopewell has been doing is what we are all doing, and it is what we are all supposed to be doing, and nothing more, nothing less. Everything else is PR. If you're seeing any ills in the society, like what is happening in the NPA, whoever told him is his source, but that shouldn't be an issue. An issue of matter of fact is not about who told him, but it's a matter of fact that has been proven that surely some people were not ready to prosecute Renata Shwai. And the question is who on whose instruction, who is protecting it, and why are these issues not of national importance? Just as we round this show quickly, back to you, Yvonne. I know I'm turning this into an emotional tornado as we continuously defend our space and our spheres as far as journalists.
I mean, it's really important, because if we don't do this now today, we are actually telling the young ones who are also coming out of colleges that, you know what, you just need to, scratch at the top and leave it at that. Just tell the people what everyone else knows.
Yeah.
But then we are also saying we want to build a crop of investigative journalists who are able to go deeper into the issues to find out what is really going on, why something is happening, and how it eventually comes out to be what it is. It's a very strong nest, as we can see. But one appeal that we have to the authorities, to government, to the relevant stakeholders, is that journalism cannot be a crime. The very fact that we are opening up the airwaves, we know that
we are opening
soon
up the airwaves.
6 more TV stations, commercial TV stations.
Why don't you have a show on this on plurality versus diversity? Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's
but
important
I know
that
it's
we can
important.
have that.
It's important to celebrate the plurality. I am with you there. But I think more importantly, let's celebrate the diversity.
Is it really the plurality and diversity?
Yeah,
That
I think there's a difference between plural. I can't say this word. Yeah, say for me.
Plurality.
Yes, that one, and the diversity of
Okay.
it thereof. Yeah. So just before you wind it down, I
Yes.
just need to just take you out there.
Yes. So, as a country that is hoping to increase and open up the space, we are also challenging the authorities to say journalism cannot be criminalized. First. Secondly, Hopewell Chino'nos, what crime has he committed? I mean, the magistrate said that he is denied bail because he has a propensity to commit crime. Which crime? Because he's not yet been convicted at all. So we are looking forward to Friday, because it is my hope, and I'm sure it is the hope of the bulk of us in the media fraternity, that Hopewell is granted bail. He doesn't deserve to have spent another day, let alone 2 weeks inside. But now that we are here, our hope is that on Friday we are able to see a logical conclusion to this, so that Hopewell is out, and then we begin to look at the issues that are happening. I hope also that at the end of it all, there will be acquittals, because journalism cannot be criminalized. We cannot stop talking about the things that are important for our nation, because we equally love our nation. We want to hold power to account, and we also want to communicate for development, because where we are going as a nation is further than where we are coming from. Tonio.
Thank you so much, Yvonne, for such a remarkable shutdown or close down of this show. I cannot overemphasize the points that you've been making, and more importantly, that's why we are trending, and we are running this show under the hashtag journalism is not a crime. Inja one, Inja all. We are all Hopewell. The next time is going to be another journalist. We are all the journalists. We are here for each other. We are here as journalists. So long as a journalist has been abused, arrested, harassed while practicing journalism according to our standards and ethics and statutes, we are going to be coming together, standing together as one. So it is and it shall be always journalism is not a crime. Inja one, Inja all. We are still journalists. We are one together as a voice. My name is Tonio. It's been a pleasure to have you guys with Yvonne. I always have so much excitement and pleasure to have you guys. It's always a fired up discussion. We're looking forward to Friday, where we get back to Zimbabweans and discuss what happens after the judge has looked into this case.
Hopefully after Friday we'll have Hopewell in the studio.
Yes, definitely. We need to also get, more importantly, and have a refresh, and let's get to speak with other fellow journalists as we continuously say that he's not alone, he can never be alone, and you'll never be alone. And we continuously remember him in such trying and tough times. www.zoc.org.zw. We are Zoc on Twitter, we are Zoc on Facebook. It's a pleasure. We hope to see you next time. From me and the crew behind the scenes, adios, ciao, ciao, goodbye.